Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin and where I see the price of Bitcoin headed for the month of June 2026. Before we begin, please read the disclaimer and you can pause this video as you read it. Okay, so it's been a while since I've done an update. I've been mostly posting on X. My X handle is EddieLux_. I'll put the link below, and please follow me on X as I do post pretty much every day on there. But I'll try to be more consistent and post video updates. I just did a stock video and we're doing one for Bitcoin right now. So basically, long story short, Bitcoin has been in a bear market this year, right? I mean, if we look at the bigger picture, right? We tend to follow the price of Bitcoin tends to follow a four-year cycle, right? And this year, along with the four-year cycle, according to four-year cycle theory, is a bear market year, right? 2026, like 2022, and 2018 and 2014, right? Those are bear market years, right? So of course, we peaked in October at 126, and now we've fallen down to 60,000. So the question is 60,000 the bottom, or are we going to go down lower, right? And in my opinion, I do think that 60,000 is the bottom. We had a huge capitulation event here. A lot of people got liquidated, and we sort of just been going sideways. But it seems like the market is trying to find a bottom, right? So we've been in this since February. We've been making higher lows and also higher highs, right? So we technically are in an uptrend, but we are pulling back a little bit to retest this resistance level. We're trying to flip it to support right here, right? So if we are able to find support here, we could push off higher, and then we're gonna have to retest this resistance level at 82,000 before trying to push up higher, and then we can retest these resistance levels, right? But for now, I would say I'm cautiously optimistic. We definitely want to hold this support level, right? This is 200-day, the 100-day, the gold line is the 100-day moving average. We were rejected at the 200-day moving average over here. This is a very important level. So yeah, we got rejected, and then we basically, the short sellers got bold and basically pushed the price down, right? So now we want to come back up, retest, and break through the 200-day moving average before retesting this level, 82. Now this is a short term. In a bigger picture, we'll look at the weekly chart, and I'll go for a cleaner chart without the Fibonacci. So I drew these trend lines, basically made a post on X. Again, please follow me on X, EddieLux_. Basically, I had a Bitcoin 2026, 2027 price action prediction where I basically drew this line. So this was posted, when was this posted? On April 16, 2026, right? So over a month ago, I posted this, and I basically drew this potential pattern that Bitcoin might follow. So basically my prediction was that I believe 60,000 was the bottom, right, in February. And I do think that we're going to go up, but it's not going to be like straight up. It's going to be like, going to be retesting these resistance level because we spent so much time here. And so of course it's going to take some time for the bulls to be able to push through. There's going to be a lot of resistance, a lot of bears selling here, shorting over here as we go higher. But I think eventually we're going to turn 100,000 into support and push up higher into new all-time highs, either by the end of this year or early next year, right? I think my prediction was, new all-time highs early 2027. So again, this line that I drew is basically what you see here, and I'm just going to leave this here. Obviously, it hasn't gone up as high as I thought it would go. It's sort of consolidating here, but overall, the general direction I think is pretty accurate. We are like consolidating a little bit. Like I said, I predicted we would consolidate. Maybe not 100% accurate, but I do think the overall direction is higher. So again, it's going to take some time. This is the weekly chart. It's going to take some time, but overall, I do think that Bitcoin has bottomed around 60,000, and I think it's going to take some time to consolidate and chop sideways. But of course, we have to talk about the stock market, right? Because Bitcoin is sort of like follows, it's like risk on asset, like a growth stock, right? So it is going to follow the stock market to an extent. The stock market has been hitting new all-time highs based off of the growth of AI stocks. And I do think that AI stocks have stolen a bit of the thunder from crypto, which used to be like the risk off asset to go into. But so the challenge is, I did make a stock video, and my stock video, I do think that we're going to consolidate a little bit, give some of these AI stocks time to breathe, and see if there is like actual substance behind the move higher, or is this going to be the top and we're going to see it more of a correction, right? And the challenge is going to be whether Bitcoin can hold its level while the stocks potentially correct and consolidate, right? Because Bitcoin is very sensitive to how growth stocks, especially in the NASDAQ, trades, right? And it tends to follow it to a certain extent. So again, another thing to look out for is this uptrend in inflation, right? Inflation has been rising this year. We did get a new Fed Chairman, Kevin Warsh. He's supposed to be more dovish, right? Trump appointed him because he was supposed to be more dovish. He said he was going to cut rates, but if we look at the trend, right, inflation rate is actually rising. So he might have no choice but to raise rates to combat this, right? And that might actually put more downward pressure on the stock market and, of course, perhaps probably even Bitcoin, right? So that's something to watch out for. Although besides that, I do think the risk reward in Bitcoin and crypto is pretty good right now, right? If you look at the fear and greed index, right, we've been at fear for pretty much like the last several months, right? Especially since we basically had this bottom here. We don't know if it's exact bottom yet. I do think it is the bottom of the bear market, but nobody knows for certain until we recover above 100,000, right? But yeah, the point is that we've been in fear, extreme fear, different levels of fear for like the last couple months. And so the sentiment is basically in the garbage, right? It's like Bitcoin, crypto, like the sentiment is like some of the worst I've ever seen. And I've been in crypto since 2013, right? I've been in Bitcoin since 2013. And you can make an argument that 2022 was a lot worse, right? You see 2022, Bitcoin fell 77%, right? This time, if 60,000 is the bottom, it's basically a 50%, just over 50% drawdown, right? But the sentiment is arguably worse, which is really interesting because, you know, the last bear market, 2022, you had FTX collapsing, you had BlockFi collapsing, you had, you know, all these different lending services collapsing, you know, people going to jail. But this time we don't have that. This time it's more like AI is taking all the thunder, all the risk on all money is going to AI, right? And people are sort of getting bored of Bitcoin and crypto in a way. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, especially for people who know what they're investing in, right? If you look at Bitcoin, the fundamentals have never been better. And so you have an opportunity, in my opinion, I've said this many times, if you follow me on X, again, EddieLux_, follow me on X, I have a lot of posts talking about how I think crypto and Bitcoin is some of the best risk reward right now. Of course, not financial advice, but I am putting my money where my mouth is. Pretty much most of my net worth is in, you know, Bitcoin, crypto, or their stock proxies, right? So, and going back, you see, look at how scared the market is, right? I mean, this is the best time to buy is usually when there's a lot of fear, right? But we'll go through different charts, but I do want to go through the hash rate. Right now, of course, the hash rate peaked in October, as did the all-time high at 126. So something that you'll notice is that the price tends to follow the hash rate, right? But the hash rate is still strong overall. If you look at the hash rate through the life of Bitcoin, it's basically in its upward direction, right? It's about 1 zettahash right now. So still looking good. Whenever there's a bear market, right, the hash rate does tend to, you know, pull back a little bit. So we go back to like 2022, you know, it does pull back a little bit, but overall the direction is up. So this is still good, right? That means that people are miners are plugging in and they're securing the network, which makes Bitcoin network more valuable, right? So let's look at some charts. So this is the 2-year multiplier. This is a very easy chart to see when Bitcoin is overvalued or undervalued, right? If you see when Bitcoin is above this reddish orange line, it's generally overvalued and you want to sell. When it's below the green line in the shaded green area, it's generally undervalued. You generally want to buy. If you look at the past cycles, right, all the way back to like 2015 here, right, over 10 years ago, you'll see that there's a very clear pattern here. So when you buy under in this green shaded area, when the price drops under the green area, the green line, it's generally a good time to buy, right? Looking back in hindsight, you're gonna make a lot of money, right? And right now we are actually under that zone right now. So just something to think about. Again, not financial advice. We're just looking at some charts objectively. A pi cycle top indicator historically has been a good exit signal. This time it didn't really show because we didn't really go up that much as we used to, right? The magnitude of the move wasn't as high. But yeah, generally speaking, when the price is below this orange line, it's generally where the price is going to bottom, right? So you look at 2015, 2018, 2022, right? And now 2020, like this is where 60,000 was, where I previously said I believe the bottom is at 60,000. So now we're technically above this orange line, but we're kind of coming down to retest that. So we definitely want to hold that line and not go below. If we're able to hold it and stay above the orange line, it could be a good indicator that we perhaps have bottomed at 60,000 and we're sort of doing this slow consolidation grind higher that we've seen in all the cycles, right? 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, and of course 2022, 2023, and now 2026, potentially into 2027, right? So last chart we're gonna look at is the golden ratio multiplier. Again, this generally tells you to sell as we get higher above these the colored bands, and generally is a good time to buy historically when it's below the gold line, right? So 2015, 2018, 2019, 2022, right? And now 2026, we are below the orange line. So historically, when we're below the orange line, it's generally a good time to buy, and the market generally rewards people who take the risk to buy at these oversold levels, right? So going back to the chart, let's look at the monthly chart, right? It's a little squished, but yeah, the monthly is starting to pull back a little bit. But if you look at 2023, right, and I circled this because I do think that we're gonna follow something that's similar. This is when we bottomed and we started grinding higher. before we start to accelerate higher, right? So you can see there's a lot of consolidation, right? It's not going to be up in a straight line. Of course, I was a little bit more optimistic here when I drew this line, but if we do follow something similar to here, right? You see how it pushed up higher, consolidated and pushed up, consolidated, pushed up, kind of got rejected by the previous resistance level, came down here, found support here, and pushed up higher. So I think we might see something similar, right? This 200-week moving, this 100-week moving average, this gold line, is obviously acting as strong resistance. Up, down, maybe up again, retest this level, maybe reject it, and then push up higher. So a little bit below my previously projected projected price action line from last month, but generally higher lows and higher highs, right? That's the most important thing, is that the market is not losing these support levels, right? What we don't want to see is we don't want to see the price of Bitcoin lose where we are now, which is around 70,000, right? This is the previous resistance level, and we worked hard to push through it, but now we're coming down and retest it. If we do lose this level, you see the gold line, it's the 100-day moving average, probably going to come down to retest this Fibonacci level, which of course we spent 2 months grinding, turning this to support. If we do lose this level, probably will go down lower. So this is a very important level where we are now. So what is my prediction for June? My prediction for June is that we'll probably continue to try to turn this level into support, but eventually I do think we're going to turn it into support and we're going to push up higher, right? And the next important level is to to break above the 200-day moving average, which is this blue line. We were rejected over here, right? Rejected over here, and we pushed down. Now we're going to have to, this blue line over time is going to come down a little bit, and the price is going to go up, and it's going to try to push through. And if it can push through, I do think we're going to see a huge markup higher, because generally speaking, the 200-day moving average is a very important level of not only resistance, but also support, right? This is why when we broke the support level back in Q4 last year, we just plunged 50%, right? And now we have to try to fight to break above it. We got rejected here in early May, and now we're gonna have another chance, in my opinion, probably sometime this month, right? But the most important thing in the short term is to defend 70,000, right? And turn this into support, which was previously resistance back in March, right? After we had this huge drawdown to 60,000, right? But yeah, overall summary, I am bullish on Bitcoin. I mean, the sentiment is just in the garbage, right? It's just a lot of fear right now, and everybody is, excuse me, jumping onto the AI bandwagon. So I do think that the risk reward for Bitcoin and crypto is some of the best that I've seen in a long time. And if you have the guts to take a chance and size into Bitcoin and crypto right now, of course not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing right now, right? And you look at all these charts, everything is oversold, right? Everything is telling you that Bitcoin is oversold, and this is a good level to perhaps go in, especially the fear and greed. When you want to buy when people are scared, you want to buy when there's extreme fear. You don't want to buy when it's all the way in extreme greed, right? But it is also important to keep your eyes out. Inflation is rising. The new Fed chair, right? He has promised to cut rates, but we never know, right? And of course, another thing to think about to keep your eyes open is the stock market just ripping up higher off the back of AI. Might see a consolidation, a correction perhaps, and that might put downward pressure on Bitcoin. But overall, I still think Bitcoin is some of the best risk reward in the market right now. And I do think we're going to recover. It might not be as optimistic as I thought it would be based on what I drew last month, but I do think that the overall direction, I do think 60,000 is the bottom. I do think that as long as we continue to defend 70,000, we're going to make higher lows and higher highs and continue higher. And I'll definitely update you guys in our next video next month. I'll try to update more. I'll try to do more videos. Yeah, probably gonna stick with monthly videos for now. So the next one will be in the end of June. But yeah, so this one is for June of this, yeah, so June 2026. So, but yeah, I'll try to be more consistent and put out more videos now, but I'm mostly on X. Again, EddieLux_, put the link below. So follow me on X. I'll try my best to do more videos. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below, subscribe for updates. I appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.